Hi, everybody. This is Laura Cartwright with Back to Perfect. I have some really exciting news, and I want to introduce Dr. David Kamnitzer. I have some questions for him because he's going to be joining our group of healers and therapists at Back to Perfect. So I'm really excited. So welcome, Dr. David.
Thank you, Laura. It's a pleasure to be here and really looking forward to being a active contributing part of your center.
So are you okay if I ask you some questions just to introduce you so that everybody can get to know you a little better?
Sure.
So I'd like to get a little bit about your backstory and how you started and how you got interested in the healing arts originally.
Sure. That's a long story, but I'm happy to share. So I'm going to go way, way back to, well, let me just start out by saying that I'm a licensed chiropractor. I've been practicing as a holistic chiropractor and deep coach for many years. And I kind of got into chiropractic through the back door. So I'm going to back up. So ever since I was a little kid, my focus and my awareness was pretty different than many kids. And I had some deep questions in my soul that I didn't have words for at the time. But if I were to look back on who I was being as a child and what was driving me, I would say that my journey has been fueled by wanting to get satisfactory answers to a couple of questions. And of course, I didn't have words for it at the time. It was just more of a energy, more of a feeling. But if I were to put words to it now, I would say that I wanted to know, number one, if there really is a loving God, how come there's so much suffering? If we're really God's children and God loves us, how come there's so much suffering in this world? And what can we do about that? And then the second question was related to that, was how come some people are so happy, so healthy, so successful, and how come some people are so unhealthy, unhappy, and unsuccessful? And so I had a passion for getting answers to those questions that were deeply satisfying to me. Although, as I said, at the time, I was going blind. I didn't know that these were the questions that I had a burning desire to know. I just was moving in that direction. And so there was nobody in my world that really had the energies I was looking for, didn't have the knowledge I was looking for. And so this was going pretty blind. And so that path, that drive took me into different places as a young person. My mother went back to school when I was probably 10 years old, and she started studying psychology to become a psychiatric social worker. And I remember even as a young teenager, going to her bookshelf and starting to read some of these psychology books. And most of what I read didn't resonate with me. But I remember there was one psychologist that made a lot of sense to me. You probably have heard of him, Abraham Maslow, if you've heard of the hierarchy of needs. And he took a totally different approach to trying to understand human beings. Instead of studying sick people and trying to draw conclusions about human nature based on sick people, what he did was he studied really high functioning people and really looked at them. And it was a more spiritually open psychology. And he ended up developing this famous model called the hierarchy of needs, which basically says, we're obsessed with survival needs until that's taken care of. And then once that's taken care of, we have higher needs, higher needs, higher needs, higher needs, and eventually our spiritual needs. And that made a lot of sense to me. That resonated with me. And another thing about me that I had a gift when I was very young, and I knew I had it, and people recognized that I had it. And that was my gift as a teacher. If there was something that I knew how to do, or if there was something that I understood, I just had this natural ability. I knew how to teach it. It was an ability that I came in with in this life. And so I knew that, and I enjoyed that very much. And but I had nobody in my world that knew anything about natural healing. All I knew was Western medicine and shots and drugs and surgery. So I had no interest in medicine, and I didn't really know anything about healing. And that came later in my 20s, which I'll get to. So my interest in psychology ended up taking me to different places. I ended up studying different world religions, different philosophies, both East and West, and started developing a perspective on Western civilization that I would say most young people don't have, because I was exposing myself to a wide variety of thought and ideas that put Western civilization into a certain perspective for me, where I could begin to see the potential strengths and the weaknesses of sort of the zeitgeist in which I was thrown to be in as being a white male in the United States and Western civilization. And so I started to see things and ask questions that probably most people my age didn't. And I think my purity of my desire and the intensity of my wanting to know the truth, through a long story, which I won't get into, ended up taking me to a connection with a true spiritual teacher at a very young age, a couple of months before my 19th birthday. And I think because of my background as a soul, when I was exposed to this person who had true knowledge, it catalyzed something in my soul. And to make a long story short, I had a powerful awakening and kind of a data dump. And it was really interesting because on one hand, I had these profound spiritual understandings, but on the other hand, I knew that I was still a pretty screwed up young man. But I had this faith and knowledge that I would heal that would come. And kind of spontaneously after that, people started coming to me, and I started helping people and doing coaching and some transformational work. And then so by that time, after a few years, I felt like I had a pretty good grounding in spirituality and psychology, and a good understanding of comparative cultures. And I was still, wanting to really get answers to those two questions. And I realized that I had a blind spot in my knowledge base. And that was, I didn't know much about the physical body. I knew a lot about the mind. I knew a lot about the soul, but I knew I had a blind spot. And so I did a few things. I started taking some classes. I took a class in Jinshin-Do acupressure. I took some classes with some healers who taught me how to feel energy, taught me how to muscle test. And what I realized was that I had a gift that I had no idea that I had a gift for. So this was really different than my gift as a teacher, which I knew that I had from being a young child, but I had had no exposure to real healers. So I had no idea that I had healing abilities. But one thing that really woke me up was when I took these acupressure classes, I could tell whether I was on the acupuncture point or not. I could feel the difference in the flow. I could feel the difference in the energy. And I had this natural knowing when I was on the spot or if I wasn't on the spot. And then when I studied with people that taught me how to feel chakras and to move energy there, I could feel them right away. It was like it was not an issue for me. And so I started to realize that I had a sensitivity there, and it helped explain a lot of the psychological issues that I was still working through as a young man, because I realized that energetically I was very much an empath, and that helped me to understand some of the psychological issues and confusions I had as a young person, because I realized that as a very young child, I was picking up my mother's energy without even knowing it, and not able, even as a young person, not able even to decipher the difference between my own energy and my mother's energy. And that was very confusing. And so once I realized what was going on, I started to make it a committed goal to develop more conscious energetic mastery, and being able to not only set behavioral boundaries and verbal boundaries, but also to be able to master energy and be able to set energetic boundaries, and to be able to move where I'm coming from energetically. And that has helped me to be able to do really deep healing work with people for decades without getting burnt out. Many people that do the kind of deep healing work that I do, they get burnt out after a while because they don't have this knowledge. And so that was very helpful to realize what was going on at the whole energy level. And then, like I said, I wanted to understand the physical body. And so I went back to school, studied anatomy, studied physiology, biofeedback, uh, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, etc. And then by that time I was in my mid-20s, and I had to kind of decide what kind of professional platform I was going to have. And I knew I didn't want to do the drug thing. I didn't want to do the surgery thing. I didn't want to just talk to people. I wanted to be able to put my hands on people too.
So that was about the time that you decided to become a chiropractor?
Yeah, because what happened was I looked at my options, and back in the 80s, naturopaths were not licensed in California.
That's
So
correct.
if I had gone the naturopathic route, I wouldn't have had access to x-rays. I wouldn't have access to laboratory work. And I knew some chiropractors, and I saw there was a lot of freedom within the chiropractic profession to bring in some of my skill sets. And so to make a long story short, I took the plunge and I went to chiropractic college in the mid 80s. And as you could see, I was coming at it from a kind of a unique perspective. Did well in school. And then I'll make this story really quick. I didn't have any money. And so I thought I would become an associate doctor. And so I knew a couple of doctors in the Bay Area that I respected and interviewed with them. And it was a very odd experience, because at the end of both of those interviews, they said something to me. They said, you know, normally we wouldn't say this to somebody coming out of school, but we think you should go on your own. And I'm thinking to myself, holy moly, I don't have any money. I don't know people around
That
here.
makes it really hard.
And so, okay. And so I kind of digested that. And then I prayed about what to do about that. And after a few days, I got this idea, because by that time I'd been doing work with people for a while. I made a list of all the people that I knew who had money, who had expressed support for my work. And I think I sent out about a dozen letters explaining my situation. And two of those people ended up giving me unsecured loans. And that's how I got started.
That's it, you know, and they believed in you and they knew you had a gift, you know, and that's what we need. And they recognized that. Oh my
So
gosh. So that's how you got to be a chiropractor.
that's how I ended up as a holistic chiropractor.
So now that you're working actively as a chiropractor, and I'll be honest with you, Dr. David, when I found you, I've seen a lot of chiropractors and different healers. And what I found in you was that you could do so many different things, help me with other healings and the energy work you've done, which is so incredible. But I mean, look at my shoulders and I'm breathing better, and it has been such a great experience getting to know you. So I am so excited that we have the opportunity that I can share you with other people, you know, that come to Back to Perfect in our area. But so what is your ideal patient? What are you looking for, and who do you think you can help the most?
Well, I can tell you historically, I've tended to pull in people who are either already on some kind of conscious path of growth or spiritual understanding. People that are looking for, people that are willing to take a certain level of responsibility for their wellness, and they're looking for guidance. They're looking for somebody who can relate to them on multiple levels, somebody who has a lot of experience, somebody that will tell them the truth about what is in my area of expertise and what isn't. Someone who's not afraid to say, I don't know. Someone who is willing to be very direct when that's needed. Somebody that's willing to make an appropriate referral. Somebody who's willing to even say, I don't think I'm the right person for you. I think you'd be better off with so-and-so. And someone who takes their time with their patients, somebody who's very results oriented, someone who will match their energy. I think sometimes healers get into trouble because they overwhelm. They're so full of themselves, they overwhelm the patient, they overwhelm the client. But someone who also at the same time can sometimes see that the client is bigger than they think or bigger than they know, and who's willing to challenge them also and isn't afraid to do that. I think someone who appreciates quality, someone who's willing to pay for that, someone who really appreciates excellent service. I would say those are some of the qualities of the people that tend to be attracted to me, and the people that can make the best use of me.
Yeah, that's like my first visit with you. I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, it definitely wasn't a normal chiropractic appointment, and it was so wonderful for me. I mean, I was open to so many different things, but I didn't know what to expect, and I was so happy and so overwhelmed with I had hope for, you know, for healing. I feel like there's so much more than just an adjustment in the body, because there's the emotional, the mental, and so many of us are looking for what you have to offer right now. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you with us in Back to Perfect at our wellness center. And I'm excited to share that with, there's so many people that we want healing and we want to feel better. And, and you're such a wonderful guide. I feel like what you did with me personally was just so gentle. So you opened some doors for me, but it was so amazing the way I mean, after 4 visits, I can't tell you how much better I feel. And again, I'm so excited to be able to share that with the community and with all these other people. So I'd like to just, if you could tell us a little bit about what they should expect when they come to see you for the first time, their first visit.
Sure, that's a great question. So I like to go into my sessions with what in Zen Buddhism they would call a beginner's mind. I don't like to have preconceptions about the person or what I should do for them. I want to be available to that person, and I want to be available to my experience of that person without those kind of filters. And so the way I structure my practice, because nobody is the right healer for everybody, and it has to be right for both of us. The last thing the healer wants to do is to see a person on their book for the day that they don't really want to see. Then you feel like you don't want to come to work, and that's not good. And so what I've come to is a structure for my practice that really works for me. And that is that when someone makes an appointment with me, I explain to them that what's going to happen is we're going to be in a private room and we're going to sit down and we're going to talk. And I'm going to find out about why you're here, what you're looking for, how I might be of some help. And we're going to talk for a while. And then at a certain point, what's likely to happen is I have a certain sense of you. And then I invite you to sit on my chiropractic table. And at that point, I'll do a lot of different kinds of analysis to get a sense of what's going on with you structurally, posturally, energetically, nutritionally, etc. And at that point, what I'll do is I'll tell you what I think is going on with you. I'll tell you what I think I can do for you. I'll give you my best shot of what I think would be involved in terms of time and money and what your responsibilities would be, what I can promise you. And at that point, this is assuming I'm willing to take the patient. At that point, I will find out if that person would like me to be their doctor. And if they're interested in that, then at that, and because if either I decide or they decide that we're not right for each other, what I do there is I just end it. And what I do is I don't take their money at that point. We just part as friends. There's goodwill. A lot of times I've had people that weren't ready for me, but they were so appreciative of how I respected them that they ended up referring somebody else. And so that happens occasionally. Doesn't happen that often, but it's good when it happens. It's good for them. It's good for me when it happens. One of the things I teach young healers and doctors is you don't have to take a patient, but once you do take a patient, you have a lot of responsibilities and you better be willing to take that on. So, a large majority of the time they'll say, yeah, I would like to see you. And at that point, I tell them in more detail about the different ways we can handle the finances and what the next first steps would be. And we go from there. Some people just want to pay per visit, but my preference is once we decide to work together, I'd like to have more of an ongoing partnership. And so to incentivize that, because the results are better for people that make longer term commitments. I have a couple of packages, discounted packages that I offer people. And we decide what's right. If we need to work out a payment plan that works for both of us, we'll do that. I'm trying to make it I'm trying to make myself available, not trying to create difficulties. And then we get started. And the thing that is interesting about my work and is challenging about my work from a marketing standpoint, maybe you have some ideas there, I know you're a very good promoter, is that someone will have an idea about my work that's based on what I do with them. But I might do something really different with somebody else. And so that's one of the challenges. And another thing that's challenging in terms of marketing my work is that people don't have the vocabulary to describe it many times. And they end up just kind of saying, well, just go see the guy. Trust me. Just
right. Well, that's been my experience.
And so one of the things that I've done in my life is I've been interviewed a lot with the intention of trying to educate the consumer to be a more sophisticated consumer. It's almost like if I was a wine connoisseur and I wanted to teach you how to appreciate wine and know the difference between a $5 bottle of wine and a $50 bottle of wine so that you could develop sensitivities and distinctions that might allow you to be able to speak about wine in some ways and appreciate it in different ways. It's very similar to that in the sense that as a culture, we are so unsophisticated about the true nature of who we are and the true nature of healing, that to take the average American who's been steeped in Western medicine and to begin to build a bridge to the way the body really works and the way the mind really works and how it's all connected and is a project. And there's an art to it, there's a science to it, and it takes time. I mean, even someone like yourself, who's been in the healing arts for a long time, you know, you've made great strides and you've gotten to a certain point. But what got you here may not get you where you want to go. And so it takes new learnings, it takes new conversations, it takes someone who isn't looking for the quick soundbite answer, someone who's willing to slow down, take a few deep breaths, go a little bit deeper. And so, you know, because of my gifts as a healer and a teacher, that's never been the challenge for me. The challenge for me has been how to integrate who I am and what I know into a culture that is spiritually very lost and has been given a lot of misinformation. And also, the other thing that's really challenging is there are a lot of people who promote themselves in the natural healing world as being able to do this, being able to do that, being able to do this. And a lot of times they're not qualified to deliver on what they're promising. And so there's a lot of mistrust on the part of the consumer. And I totally understand that. And I understand that it's my responsibility to build a bridge and to build trust, and that can take time. And so that's all these reasons are why I think it's better to work with me on a more long-term basis, because it can take time. If people are really stressed out, they don't have the energy or the available resilience to be able to do the deeper work that really needs to be done at a certain point. And so you have to work with a mature healer who understands all this and you know, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But if you're a healer who has seen a lot and has a lot of different experiences and a lot of different tools in the bag, they can customize for you in that session the intervention or the combination of interventions that's going to give you the most bang for your buck and isn't going to throw you into some kind of a healing crisis where you have to stay home all day because you're sitting on the pot 10 times a day. You don't want that. You don't want someone to feel really, really worse a lot of the time when they're wanting to heal. So there has to be a respect for the pace, and each person is different and everybody processes differently. And it's a lot easier to speed up than it is to slow down. A lot of times, if you go too fast, you lose the trust with the patient. And so it's better to do less and have some little successes to build the trust and you can really gain some momentum if you are consistent with that. Does that resonate?
It's one of the things that I've learned, and we've just started. I mean, four treatments, but I never know what to expect. But you always seem to home in on what I need. I mean, the last time I saw you, you helped guide me through a little meditation and brought me back into things that I'd forgotten about, how to breathe. And along with being the adjustments have been wonderful, but there's been so much more that what you do for me that has made it's changing my life. And so you are so unique in what you do, and there's just so many different aspects, how you can read a person, and everybody's so different. So I'm so excited. We have to figure out how to let people know what you do. So I was really happy that we were able to do this interview so that we can share that with the public, and if
One
they
of
have
the things
any.
one of the things I like to do is I like to take advantage of the group energy. And one of the things I'd love to do is you have a beautiful room in your center, this circular room that I think would be fantastic to have maybe a dozen or 15 people there one evening or one Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
And then I'd give a talk, and then we'd put like a massage table out in front, and I'd be able to demonstrate a lot of things and people could actually feel what's going on there. I think that would be fantastic. And then
Cool.
you're like this, your superpower, you're like this cosmic switchboard person. And as you get more mature in your experience with me, you'll probably you'll experiment and figure out different ways to get people in front of me, to get the right people in front of me. And
Right.
once you
Yes.
get the right people in front of me, my conversion rate is pretty high. And so as you get more of a feel for who the right person is and how to communicate with them in such a way where they feel comfortable and motivated to get themselves in front of me, whether it's individually or in a group setting, I think things will take care of themselves. And then also, we didn't talk about this. You've talked about the importance of having people experience me. One of the reasons that I decided to join your group is because I'm also interested in being part of a two-way flow of energy. Like, for example, you have an acupuncturist, you have people do different forms of
Yes.
body work
Right.
that I don't have the time to do. And so there's a dynamic flow there that there's a community there that's waiting to be tapped that I'm excited about being a part of. And of course, that requires getting to know each other, getting to know each other's work, getting to trust each other. And so that's another element that I'm looking forward to. And I'm hoping that all of this allows you for you to focus more of your energy on what your natural gifts are and what your natural strengths are, and to that become part of the synergy of what we're building together.
Yeah, it's actually really exciting. And, we have such a great group of healers. And I feel like you're coming in and joining us has just been something I've been actually praying for a long time. And um, so I'm very grateful that you're willing to come in and share your wealth of knowledge and your healing energy. Um, well, let's figure out what's the best way for people to get to know you better, make an appointment. I know we've got you on our website and in our, in our booking system. But it sounds like you would prefer for them to call you directly rather than just to book online.
Yeah, I do like to have some contact. I like to hear the person's voice. I can start to tune into their energy and vice versa. And I have my own private cell phone number on the website there, and I could give it out now
Great.
as well if you'd like.
Perfect. Yeah.
So if you're interested in exploring the possibility of doing some work with me, or if you know someone that you want to share this with, I'll give you a couple of easy contact information points. So my cell phone number is 858-204-3092. That's 858-204-3092. If I don't pick up, you can leave a confidential message. And then I'll also give you my personal email address. So my name is David Kamnitzer, and my email address is my first name, David, David, and then a dot, like a period. And I'm going to spell out my last name now. K-A, M as in Mary, N as in Nancy, I, T as in Tom, Z as in zebra, E-R. So david.kamnitzer@gmail.com. That's david.kamnitzer@gmail.com. So you can, if you prefer to write, you can write to me there. I get a lot of emails. And so maybe in the subject matter, put possible new patient or something that makes it stick
Right.
out.
And all that information is on our website at Back to Perfect Wellness. And you can always call our office and Suzanne can give your number out and any information and direct you.
Why don't you give out the URL for Back to Perfect? The
Absolutely.
website.
Yeah.
What do people type in for
Oh,
Back
it's
to
just
Perfect?
back the number 2 wellness. No, Back to Perfect, excuse me, back number 2 perfect.com. That's it. Yeah. But and anybody that's wants to reach out to to you, and just everything's going to be on the website, so that'll make it really easy. And I will continue to tell everybody about my experience with you, and keep finding people that want to heal in so many different ways. I don't know
Thank
if you
you.
guys can see my shoulder, but just in a few treatments, but it's been other things. You've given me some breathing exercises and other, just the way how to hold myself, and and the meditation that we've done together has helped me so much. I feel like I'm calmer, more emotionally, just feeling better. So many
And we
things.
haven't even gotten into
No,
the nutritional or herbal work at all yet.
not yet. We're going there though. I'm excited. It's going to be a journey, and I am so grateful that I've had the opportunity to be one of your patients. And I want to share that with, there's so many people out there that that really need your healing. And it's so hard to, I'm so glad we did this video, because it's so much easier for them to hear it from you. But I think what they need to do is come in and have a consultation. And I hear that you're offering a free consultation, and then go from there. Is that right?
It's not just a free, well, it's not free, but what it is
Yeah.
it's a no obligation. Like, for example,
Okay.
as I
Okay.
was saying, you could come in and we can talk and I can evaluate you. And if we decide at that point to stop, then
Okay.
I won't charge you.
That makes sense. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so
And
it's
one thing I want to say before we close is that, I talked about that I'm very sensitive to energy. Like I can walk into a house, I can walk into a business, and I can feel the vibe. And so I just want to tell everybody that's listening, because I think this has to do with you. is when I walk into your healing center, every time I feel peaceful. I feel like I'm coming into a place that's about healing. I don't feel like I'm coming into a place that's a business. I don't feel like I'm coming into a place that is looking at me with dollar signs in their eyes. Of course, we need the money, but it's not about the money. And, you know, I've been in the healing game for a long time now. I'm 67 years old, and I've been in the healing arts in one form or another since I was about 19 years old. So I've been in hundreds of different offices, clinics, centers, and you can tell right away if you're sensitive. You can tell right away that people are, it's either about the money, or people are going through the motions, or it's a numbers game, or sometimes you can tell that these people are mission driven, that they're, it's something more. There's a love for
Right.
healing, there's a love for wellness. And I feel that energy in your center. And at the same time, I feel that the potential is so untapped compared to where it is right now. That, and you have so much you can build on. And I'm excited about helping to catalyze that and being an active part of that.
Yeah, let's get the word out and let people know what's going on at Back to Perfect with Dr. David and all the other group of healers. But oh, it's so exciting, and I can't wait to go on an adventure with you.
We're already on it.
Yeah, we're definitely, but and to share it because it's it doesn't need to be a secret. I feel like the wellness center and what you do is a lot of people just don't know, so we need to get the word out. So I'm
I think it,
excited.
I think this kind of healing that isn't just about putting out the fires, but it's really about building a firm foundation and then building beautiful houses on it. I really think, and an appreciation of the multidimensional nature of human beings. I really think that's an idea whose time has come. And it's just a matter of a lot of education, and
Yes.
a lot of compassion for where people are, and experimenting with different ways to build bridges to where people are, where they feel they have a safe and focused path to begin to explore.
Ready to start a journey of healing and wellness, and I think so many people are looking for that right now, the way the world is, and the way everything, the medical, and and a lot of people are starting to want to heal, and they're looking outside the box. So welcome to Back to Perfect, and I can't wait for everybody to come in and get to know you like I am.
Well, thanks, Laura. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited about creating a link we're going to upload this to YouTube, and then we'll create a link to that YouTube video, and we'll insert it into the email that you're going to send out to, I think it's over 2,000 people on your database.
Yes. Yes.
That's a good start. And then combined with the
Yeah.
external marketing that you're able to do, I'm really confident that good things are going to happen.
We're just starting out. So again, I'm so excited, and yep, let's keep this journey going.
Hey, Laura, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Talk to you later. Bye.